Hello YouTube, this is Shooter, and as I finish off the game's last 3 minis, this will be my final video in the Skyrim Adventure Game series. In this video, I'm going to cover my experience painting all the minis for this game and highlighting a few techniques I used and lessons that I learned. Here, I'm using Basilisk Green to paint the Imperial's cloak. The instant colours can be a little patchy with one coat, and I think that gives a good worn effect to the cloak. I found the red to be a little bit flat, so to add some depth I'm giving it a heavy dry brush with white. Then I'll go over it with Slaughter Red. To do this, I put some white paint on the brush, then remove the majority of the paint on a paper towel before lightly going over the mini to pick up only the highest or edge details. Then, once that's had a minute to dry, I apply Slaughter Red. As for the lessons learned, the first major thing I found is that batch painting a board game is not the same as batch painting an army for a tabletop war game. This first miniature I painted, for example, took me approximately 10 to 15 minutes. I spent no more than that, and that included extra steps involved in dry brushing to add depth to the speed painting process. The second set of minis I painted as a batch. I picked these two minis because mostly, overall, the colours were the same. While they took a little bit longer than 15 minutes per mini, they were still pretty quick. This last video though, I tried painting all 3 miniatures at the same time, and this was a bit of a struggle. As you can see, all 3 minis use a greatly different colour palette. We've got a light silver, a gold, and a darker silver. The skin tones were also very different. As you can see, we had a white fur for the Khajiit, we had a purple skin tone for the Dunmer, a fair skin tone for the Imperial, and it just did not work. I would have been better off painting each of these individually, and that would have saved me a lot more time. A miniature war game, for example, we can paint all the miniatures all at once. Take this army, we can do all the greens on all 4 miniatures, then we can do all the silver, we can do all the leathers, and so on and so forth until we finish the miniature. Quite simple. We're using the same paint, we're using the same palette, nothing new there. And being able to do that saves us a lot of time. While I was painting the Dunmer's armor in Horde Bronze, I realised the section I had painted red earlier would make more sense if it was also bronze. I have found that metallic speed paints usually don't do too badly when painting over other colours. It's probably a little darker, but I can live with it. However, the standard speed paint colours really do need to be painted over white or grey. That's where we need to be careful not to paint over other areas when painting each colour. We can fix it by going over any mistakes or slips with white before applying the next colour though. This is where normal mini paints have the advantage. We can almost be messy because we can kind of clean it up with the next colour as we go. For the fireball, I start with Speed Yellow from the Scale 75 Fluoro series. Despite the name, this is not a speed paint. I could have used an orange or yellow speed paint here, however, it would have given the opposite effect of what I'm looking for. It would have been darker in the crevices where I want it to be the brightest. Using orange neon and with most of the paint wiped from the brush, I run the brush along the raised edges, leaving the yellow in the crevices. Then using the same technique, I paint red ecstasy onto the edges furthest from the hands. This is how they all turned out. Skyrim can be a little dark and gritty, so I tried to add a little bit of colour with these last 3 minis. While they don't match the artwork exactly, I think it's close enough, and the colours aren't too bright that they take away from the gritty feel. When I initially planned to make these videos, my goal was to show that mini painting can be approachable, simple and fun. Decent results are achievable without having to spend hours upon hours for each mini. Speed paints are great, but I did find that I still needed a few colours from a standard paint range to fill the gaps, especially white and black, but I also think a skin tone or 2 might be necessary. Or you can paint good looking minis with nothing but a set of speed paints and a good primer coat. I think they're a great tool combined with other paints to help speed up the process. With that in mind, in the next series, to show what is achievable, I'm going to paint the next game with what would be considered a starting paint set, using only the paints in that set. This is a set I picked up a while ago, and I am keen to give it a try. Thanks for watching!